Hi guys and welcome back to today's commentary game, and please let me know guys if you like these commentary games or if you would like to see some end games or something like that. So okay, today we're playing against our friend and we're black. Okay, we're gonna play the Caro-Kann and okay, d4, d5 and e5. That's the advanced variation that he plays, against which, okay, bishop to f5 is the main move. But I'm going to play c5, that's what I play against it. It's a rare line, but it's a pretty good one, I think. So c3 move, he plays that. I think that's not great, because like in one of my previous videos, I showed that we get a French type of position with my bishop outside the pawn chain, which is just very, very nice, because in the French, you've already played e6 and your bishop is stuck here, and now I just managed to get it out. So it's a pretty bad variation for white, I think, just not ambitious. Let's see if we can punish this and get a pretty nice position from it. So, okay, let's just play e6 here. And the point here, basically, of this structure here, this French Caro-Kann type structure, is that we're gonna put pressure here on the d4 pawn, and another idea is to then play the move f6. But let's see how the game is going to develop. So when he plays his knight here, I usually can take here on d4 because I don't want to take on d4 when his knight is here, because he would recapture and he would put his knight on c3. But now, since he has already moved his knight, I can capture the pawn, and he doesn't have knight to c3. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, let me just take here on d4 immediately, releasing the tension. You a lot of times don't want to do it, but here it's alright because of the reasons that I just explained to you. Now I'm just going to put my knight here on e7. Why am I going to e7? Because I want to put my knight on f5. Putting pressure also on this pawn, that's very nice. Let's put our knight on f5 now. If he plays h3, we have to take the knight, because otherwise, you know, we would run into a fork. So that's not nice. And I just don't mind giving this bishop away for the knight or something, because, you know, this bishop is usually stuck here and it's not a very useful piece. You know, my dark square bishop is better because my pawns are on light squares. That's pretty logical. So okay, he goes knight to b3, and okay, let's see. I'm just gonna go queen to b6 here, putting pressure on d4. Like I said, my threat here is to just take the knight, removing a defender of this pawn, after which he recaptures and I can just capture this pawn. I have many attackers of the pawn. So that's why, yeah, he defends the pawn with bishop to e3. And I have the option of taking the bishop, ruining his structure a bit, but the f file also opens, giving him a counterplay. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to play bishop to e7 because I want a castle, and there is no better square for the bishop here. As you can see, all these squares are protected. And okay, after h3 we have to take because of the fork coming. He recaptures and let's just castle. And as you can see, it's really hard to put more pressure here on this pawn because white just defends it properly with his three pieces here. So what should we do now? Now the other plan after this one in the French defense is to play the move f6, another pawn break in the center, which weakens the e6 pawn a little bit, but it's really hard to get to it and we can just defend it easily. And by the way, the idea of f6 is if he takes, we recapture, for example, then this e5 pawn is again going to be pretty weak. And yeah, that's just a very nice idea here in the French defense. So he puts his rook to the c file. I think I'm just going to take this bishop now. Let's play f6. And as you can see, if he takes and we recapture, it's a symmetrical pawn structure here. As you can see, pawns are just symmetrical. That's pretty interesting. And Yeah, the position is probably equal after this. And now how do we want to recapture the pawn? I think we want to recapture it with a rook. Let's capture it with a rook. We could maybe double up here or not, you know. I prefer having my bishop here on e7. It's definitely more useful than on f6, and it's also blocking this rook. So these decisions are pretty important a lot of times with which piece to capture, and the game could go in a different way, you know, if you decided to capture it with the other piece. So okay, he tries to put pressure on our e6 pawn. Now let me see what I want to do. Well, my plan is obviously here to just put my knight here to c4. This looks logical to me, by the way. Not sure if it's the best, but I mean, it just seems a logical square for the knight because now our knight is not doing anything special. Um, hmm. Yeah, I'll just play knight to f5. I think that's a pretty nice move, going there. Now he could also try to put his knight here on c5, also putting a lot of pressure here on this pawn. And after this, we might have to just take the knight. Okay, so he takes our knight. We're going to recapture. And yeah, we just blundered. Obviously, he could take my pawn. He did take this pawn. I don't know why he didn't do that. But still, okay. Let's see now what we're going to do. I blundered pretty badly here. We have to play our queen here to protect this pawn because he can always take and then remove the defender of this e6 pawn. Okay, so he takes, and let's recapture this pawn. Yeah, he can maybe go here to the 7th rank. I think I didn't play the best here, and of course, yeah, he attacks also my pawn here, and of course he also means that he had my 2 pawns. I just blundered pretty badly, so it was pretty bad. But let's see what we want to do here. If he goes this to c7, which looks the most logical, yeah, he did. What can we do here? Just it looks pretty hard. Oh man. No. I just play our bishop here, trying to, you know, attack this pawn. If he takes, and we just take here with a check. If he takes, we just take the rook, of course. So he can't take the pawn immediately, I think. Maybe I'm gonna play this move and create some threats against the king. But I think I think that's pretty bad here. Is rook on the 7th rank? Not the thing we want. I just have like 6 seconds, so I really have to like try to think here. It's maybe still a draw, I don't know. Maybe still a draw. He's also getting low on time, so it's going to go pretty quickly here. Let's take the queen. Let's take this. Okay, opponent is protected. He's a pawn up. Okay, let's just go here. Goes there. Let's go here. Maybe not the best, by the way. Maybe not the best. So it's an opposite colored bishop's endgame. So these endgames are likely to be drawn because, you know, he can only protect the squares that his bishop controls. So this should be a draw here. No, he can never push because I have he just doesn't have support for it. Let's take this pawn and just put our pawns on the dark squares, and then we can protect them with our bishop. So this is an easy draw here. Check. It's pretty instructive, I think, to see, you know, that these positions are just drawn, and you can a lot of times just get into these positions. As you can see, they are completely drawn. Just he can't do anything here. I can just move my bishop here. I protect my pawn. He can never make use of this this one because he can't, you know, just attack me with his bishop. You know, it's not a dark squared bishop, so I can just chill there, moving my bishop, do nothing, and he can't do anything. If he advances his pawn, by the way, I can just take and just, you know, I just have to keep control of everything here. So okay, I just take this pawn, he recaptures, I just move my bishop. If he wants to do anything, he can't really take it because I'm protecting it. If he wants to promote his pawn, he has to push it. Then I'm just going to take, and yeah, I just keep my king here, like I said, and he can't kick me out. He can't kick me out. His king can't, you know, come really close to this king. His king can't attack my king, of course, and nor does his bishop. So I just move my bishop and stay here, and it's a complete draw. So okay, let's just give him a check. Let's offer a draw here. Okay, so let's see the crucial points again that are pretty instructive, I think. First of all, he just goes into a bad variation of the French defense, or I mean the Caro-Kann here, as you can see, where I managed to get my bishop out of the pawn chain and just have a very nice position, very playable position for me. And okay, you can see the ideas here of really putting maximum pressure here on this d4 pawn, so he has to defend it, with also queen b6, stuff like that, and also ideas of just taking the knight, removing another defender of this pawn, and then taking the pawn. And later also the idea of another pawn break, typical for the French structures, which is f6. And of course, if he does nothing, you're just going to take here twice, and you know, his pawns are terrible, his pawns are going to fall. So he kind of has to take, and it's a symmetrical pawn structure, as you can see. You get a pretty, you know, playable position. And I went wrong somewhere, I think, and I'm not completely sure if this was the right moment to play f6. I of course have to look at it if I played it at the correct time, but it's of course very instructive to see this idea in play. Okay, he got me into some trouble here. He had a win here with just taking the rook. After I recapture, he just takes two of my pawns and he's just winning. But he missed that, and then it got kind of tricky, as you saw. I think this should probably be a draw. Like you saw, here we just exchanged, and he was a pawn up. And here another very useful idea, just trying to exchange the rooks, because I want to get into an opposite color bishop ending, because I know that they're very much drawn. I can keep control of the dark squares with my dark square bishop and with my king, because his bishop can only look on, you know, the light squares, and my bishop on the dark squares. So if I manage to control the dark squares, who is going to control the dark squares from his side? You know, pretty logical. So yeah, this should be just a draw. Sometimes these endings are even drawn with white being 2 pawns up, and yeah, it's just very interesting. So here I just managed to, you know, hold on the dark squares, and it was an easy draw. So I hope you guys liked today's video, and I really want to know if you like these commentary games, or if you'd like to see, any other type of videos. And if you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.